this thing working? Okay. By the way, I went to the doctor. I went to the hospital because my back was hurting so bad. Um, and they gave me some painkillers, which it did completely take the pain away. And then, like, I was in the hospital for like, I don't know, like 12 hours just because they wanted to do a bunch of tests. And towards the end of the visit, where they knew they were going to discharge me, they started giving me just, instead of giving me narcotics, they were giving me like really strong ibuprofen. And that worked just as well without messing me up. So I've been taking like 800 milligram ibuprofen. But I found out that when I fell, when I was rock climbing, I tore a muscle in my lower back because I did fall straight on my back. So I can't rock climb for a while. Which really sucks because, like, that's my favorite way to exercise is to rock climb. But, so yeah, I was afraid that I had a kidney infection because it was my lower back, only on one side, on the left side, and yeah, my kidneys are fine, and I just tore a muscle in my back. I didn't think that I had torn a muscle because I had fell and then I got right back up and started climbing. Like, it knocked the wind out of me, but I got up and climbed about three more things. And then I went home and, spent time with family or whatever. And then I went to sleep and woke up the next day in like agony. It was so horrible. So I didn't think it was a muscle, but it is. Like, for a real, like, I couldn't get up and walk. I couldn't sit up. And I couldn't even, like, roll over in bed because it hurt so bad. And it was just like, it was, ugh, I was literally, like, in tears because it hurt so bad. Like, in my opinion, back pain is, like, the worst kind of pain. I was, I was climbing. See, the thing is I was really hesitant to start rock climbing because I'm afraid of heights. And it's just because I get vertigo really bad. So this is how I kind of learned the hard way. I was halfway up a rock. I was about 35 feet in the air. And I was bouldering. I wasn't rope climbing. So there was no rope attached to me. There was just a crash pad underneath me. And my husband was spotting me moving the crash pad as I moved on the rock. And then I decided to take a break for a minute, like mid climb, and I made the mistake of looking down and I got really dizzy and I fell off. And I landed on the crash pad. And the crash pad, well, one of the crash pads I have, the one I had under me was the thickest one I have, and it was really thick, so I thought I'd be fine since I landed on the crash pad, but apparently not. I just think it's really strange that I didn't feel it until the next day. Since I landed on the crash pad, but apparently not. I just think it's really strange that I didn't feel it until the next day. my god. Tony, shut the fuck up. Nobody cares.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Wait, hold on. It's not. Okay, there you go. Well, the idea is nowhere, Tony. Like, I honestly would not care if you never talk to any of us again. Like, why do you think that you're providing some kind of service? That's the stupidest shit I've ever heard. The idea is to be rid of you. So go away. Nobody fucking cares.
How come you don't act this way when news stations and documentaries cover tragedies? Or do you? I mean, if people, like, it's so hard for you to believe that people, this is the thing, you're so transparent, Tony. You're the one who's made websites. You're the one that wants ad revenue. You're the one that's obsessed with, like, bragging about, look what I made and look at the money I make and look how much money, look how much money I send to Tam. You're the one obsessed. Yes, we all need to make a living if we want to be able to survive. But that's not the focus of all of our lives. It's too hard for you to grasp that sometimes people just talk about things because it touches them. There's not a monetary incentive behind it. Just like songwriters, yeah, a lot of them do it for the money, but a lot of them just do it because they love it. So get over yourself. You know, maybe that's why you make websites. That's not necessarily why everyone else does. The fact that you even keep up with Facebook stock says more about you than it does any of us in this chat.
Personally, I would rather die, but don't you mean your Vienna sausage? Loser.
We see in others what we see in ourselves. He immediately wanted to latch onto Tammy. He immediately wanted to own Caitlyn. And so he assumes to this day that that's why we act like, not really, but he wants to think that's why we act like we care about Caitlyn. To this day, he can't wrap his head around the fact, kind of like Gerard, that not everybody's like him. Not everybody has the same motives as him. As soon as he glommed on to this case, it had an agenda, a bad agenda, a sexual agenda, a creepy agenda, a monetary agenda. So he still to this day thinks that we're all faking when we act like we care about Caitlyn. And that's his own problem. But that's why he wants to act like we're hateful. Because in his mind, everything we do and say is fake. It's all like we're hating. If we show genuine concern about what Tammy's done and continues to do, we're hating. So, you know, and I don't even... Ricky, you walk out of the door in a hoodie and you throw your hair up and you face the world. He has to walk out of the door, greasing his sideburns, throwing on like some expensive, stylish leather coat and designer jeans and real leather designer shoes in order to feel adequate when he steps out into society. So I would, you know, feel, I would feel more like you're an alpha than him. We see in others what we see. Well, he wants to blame social media for what happened to Caitlyn. He's made that very clear. He's made it clear about Luke. But the fact of the matter is, let's completely take Facebook and Live Me out of the picture in Caitlyn's case. I would love to know what would have been different other than her communicating with Luke. Let's see. Her claims about Anthony would have still persisted. No one would have actually known what was going on in that trailer had she not had the internet to publicize what was going on. She still would have been prescribed Prozac. We just wouldn't have seen the decline. We wouldn't have had all the evidence that we have now. She probably would have felt even more isolated. And yeah, I mean, I would love to know how social media is responsible for the situation that she was living. It certainly was not. She didn't even have the phone until, like, what was it? A month preceding or something, that her starting to get on Live Me? I mean, that was actually, for her, that was a pretty new gadget in her life. And preceding that, she had suffered depression from environmental factors that had nothing to do with the internet. Yeah, and he likes to post when you've had enough and you tell him, like, to suck your wiener. He likes to put that on YouTube, but he would never post what you just said, because that's you just being observant about his behavior over the years. Right, but you've seen how when he uploads stuff to YouTube, he's very calculating about what he makes sure to include and what he makes sure what he you can tell, like, he excludes much of what we say that is matter of fact and that really encompasses his overall behavior and why he says what he says and his lies. He leaves all that out. He only likes to be like, look how they bully me, all the haters. That right there is why I find it really hard to believe what he says about his upbringing. And, you know, his sister didn't really back up anything he said about his upbringing. And I feel like that's why he disbelieves what Caitlyn said about what was going on. Because in his mind, he makes all this stuff up, so why wouldn't she? At this point in time, I just conclude that he's a narcissistic old man. He's bitter about his life. He's bitter about where he is. There's probably some legal reasons that he's confined to that institutionalized looking place he's living in. And of course, we're never going to know about those reasons. And Ron has said this before. He likes this bad boy image that he has, and that's what he likes to throw at people when he feels intimidated and threatened. And he's mentally stumped, he's emotionally stumped. We'll never know the reason for that. If he was doing things like smoking spice and things like that as a kid, that could have altered his emotional development. Either way, he is a catfish, he's a proud catfish, and a compulsive liar. We know this for a fact now. It's been years to determine all this. Well, making the screen name Sex at 7, here's the thing. If somebody is compelled to talk about the pain that they went through at 7 years old, they're going to do just that. They're going to talk about it. He won't actually talk about it. He just makes labels like sex at 7 to grab someone's attention and make them pity him. But he won't actually talk about it, which shows me he just says things for shock value, pity, and attention, and to use as a crutch, a bully crutch, so that he can bully people and be like, oh, well, I was molested at 7. Meanwhile, Caitlin's making up everything that she said. Like, it's all a show. And the door's been open for him for years to come around, to be a human, to get over himself, to realize that Tammy's just using him and this, it's not going to be his little fantasy that he's thinking. And he's just shown that he is just a sociopath. Let me give an example of why I think he's bitter. One of my live streams, I had a package come in the mail. Keep in mind, this package was like a bulk of socks or something for one of the kids, because it's cheaper to get them in bulk on eBay. Like, I was able to get like 50 pairs of socks for like $20, which if you actually go to the store and look at kids' socks, they're not cheap. It's ridiculous. Like, even at Walmart, to get like 6 pairs of socks is like $7, which I think is ridiculous considering how much kids go through socks. Anyway, he made a remark about, look how spoiled she is getting packages in the mail. Like, that just shows he is in a constant state of envy. He's in a constant state of jealousy. I can tell him a million times that I've been in the shelter 3 times since I've been married to Tim. No car, no phone, no nothing. And it doesn't matter to him. Right, Rod. And a part of me, I do feel like a lot of that could be a fabrication. But, none of that really, it doesn't really matter if that is true or not. Because if a person is going to, like, let's pretend it is true. If people become one of two things when they grow from abuse. They either become an abuser or they become an empath. And he's clearly not become an empath from his alleged abuse. Rod, that's something that I find myself kind of subconsciously wondering every single time I see him type something to this day. Because in the past, well, here's the thing. I'll never forget the first time I saw him leave a comment. It was on his Saint Tony Linane or whatever Facebook name, and it had that picture of him as a teenager, the one that he shows with that article where he got caught with a gun or a pistol or whatever. And I'll never forget, it really startled me and caught me off guard, his comment, because it was in one of the Caitlyn groups, and it was like completely irrelevant. It was kind of a jab at me. It was catty, and I remember ignoring it because I was thinking, this is weird. Like, this has nothing to do with Caitlyn, but okay. Sometimes people have bad days and just whatever. I didn't realize what was really going on. This was like within a week after I had discovered Caitlyn. And looking back, I thought, there's got to be a reason that this person acts like this. Maybe he was caught up with Caitlyn before she did what she did in an inappropriate way. Maybe he was sending her money. But at this point in time, there's more to it, Rod. There's got to be more to it. I feel like it's a mix of narcissism, schizophrenia, and it's like you said, this is a pathway for him to freely bully, and it makes him feel better, like with all bullies. reason I don't think he has dissociative personality disorder is because I've seen a lot of people who have that on YouTube. I've seen documentaries about it. It's always fascinated me. And one thing that they don't do is catfish. They don't have the ability to be calculating. I mean, they could if they really wanted to, but it would take it, there would be a lot of it wouldn't be effortless like with Tony. If you look at Tony's main Facebook page, he is able to put up this complete civil, actually kind of intelligent persona for people. And if you look at some of his catfish accounts, like the Michelle Boyd one that he's marched onto my page and pretended to be a woman on, he can be a woman. He can talk like a woman. He can be catty and bratty and completely I mean, I guess that could fall under the category of multiple personality, but again, that's not they don't deliberately change personalities, and they don't have some insidious, reason for changing personalities. A lot of what fuels some schizophrenics is an immense, massive ego. So huge. The opposite of people with Asperger's. People with Asperger's usually are so humble and they're so brutally honest because they actually don't kind of see the point of an ego. That's why they sometimes don't put effort into their appearance, and they don't really see the point of social things because they see. But a lot of schizophrenics are fueled by this massive ego. That's why they believe wholeheartedly everything they hear in their mind, because why wouldn't they, right? I mean, if they hear it, it's got to be true. And that's why they believe everything they see. They would never think that maybe their perspective is skewed. And he strikes me, like when he was asking me about how's your skin doing today, Dizzy, and all this, like he's asking me that because like in the past he's literally asked his God to like mess me up. Is very symptomatic of someone with severe schizophrenia. I've been diagnosed with ADHD, OCD, schizophrenia, schizotypal, bipolar. I mean, if you march in all that is all psychiatry really is symptomology. That's all it really boils down to. These people go to school and they believe you at face value what symptoms you're telling them. They don't really know what's going on in your life. They don't know what's going on hormonally. They don't know what's going on emotionally. It's their job to throw together symptoms and give you a label, and that's they're partnered with the pharmaceutical industry, and that's how they work together so that with the correct symptoms, they can give you medicine. Sometimes it helps people, sometimes it doesn't. Either way, it's symptomology. And if you look, though, true schizophrenia, just like epilepsy, unlike other disorders, can actually be detected on a brain scan. So to me, that says a lot about being diagnosed officially via brain scan with schizophrenia, which I would be really curious to see Tony undergo a brain scan. That sounds like excessive stimuli. Like, I know I hate being in like a cafeteria because it's panic inducing, like hearing everybody's voices at once, like climbing on top of the other voice and just in one big ball of just sound that is I can't decipher, and it's ugh. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm not in your head though, but when I say that I feel like it's a mix of schizophrenia and narcissism, I say schizophrenia loosely. It's a man-made, it just helps people put people into boxes so that they can better help them. In his case, I feel like everybody has traits of every kind of different little disorder in the world. I really do. We can all be different. We can all be narcissistic too. But when you are a malignant narcissist and you have schizophrenia, then you're constantly living in a state of envy. You're constantly living in a state of paranoia. You're constantly living in you're seeing through a lens that is so selective and so fueled by the ego that there's no wiggle room to be wrong. And that's where it gets dangerous. That's where you see terrorism. That's where you see murders. That's where you see rapists. Exactly. Can you recall one time ever that Tony has, forget saying directly, but even implied remotely that he could be wrong about something? Like, well, maybe I'm wrong about this, but it just seems. Has he ever started off a sentence with "it seems like" or "I think"? No. He says everything like he knows everything, like he is a god. He abuses the human language. The fact that he goes around lying and slandering like he does, that is abusing. That is seriously abusing the human language. Just like how Anthony wanted to say that you have a drinking problem and just threw that around. People like that have no respect for communication. They don't respect humanity. They don't respect life. They don't respect themselves. You can't respect yourself if you're willing to be that disgusting, and if you're willing to show other people that much disrespect, then you don't have respect for yourself. Some people staying in a willful, lost status distracts from all the inner turmoil. And so, like, I'm sure you get what I'm saying, but, like, I've noticed people who thrive in drama and thrive in chaos and thrive in, having rivals and stuff like that. Those types of people are it's just their way of escaping their own head. And the hate that he spews, that's another form of it. And, the reason it's so dangerous with him, the fact that he doesn't listen to anyone, is it reminds me of the cases I've seen of teenagers whose parents got after the teenager and had enough, and they had said, look, you can't keep stealing, you can't keep lying, you can't keep bullying these people, you can't go sneaking around with a gun, you can't go acting this way, you can't beat people up, you can't stalk this girl. And then, so what does the kid do? The kid ends up murdering the parents because it is a willful state of being lost. It is a willful state of being in denial. And it's all about inner pain. But I really don't care about the inner pain, because if the person's going to use that pain to kill people or to threaten people or to wish death on people, which Tony's done the latter, then why should I feel bad for someone like that? He demands people to feel bad for him, but that he won't even believe what Caitlin said. And, there are many kids, there are many teenagers who, guess what? They don't kill their parents when their parents have had enough. There are many people who realize that, I may disagree with these people. I may think that these people are absolute scum. And I may think, keyword here, think, because he doesn't know for sure, think that these people are liars and have an agenda and don't truly love Caitlin. But he doesn't have to act like a bully about it. That's the difference between a sociopath and someone who's not a sociopath. They realize they can disagree and not like people, and they don't have to bully them all the while. Someone like him, it's all about control. Well, if I can't change their mind or if I can't get them to go away, then I'm going to torture them until they do. It's about power control, and this is all a guess, but I think it's about power control and hypersexuality. And misogyny, sexualizing children. Jamie Jamie Lee, what was her last name, Smith or something, she isn't even a part of our group. She's never been a part of our group chat or anything like that. And he still went after her in a sexual way. He sexualized her and always would refer to her by her tits, his words. And when it came to someone like Mr. Gunk, when he was publicly called out for hitting on underage girls, that's when Tony suddenly left him alone. So I can't, there's a lot of sexual undertone to everything he says and does. I will forever find it too coincidental that he was subscribed to a lot of this bend drowned type stuff, to a lot of this creepypasta and God, what is the anime? You know, the music. It's where they speed up and squeakify a lot of popular songs. It's a sort of anime genre that the young kids, especially young girls, listen to. My daughter likes it. You know, it's too coincidental that he was subscribed to that sort of stuff. The same person that claims to hate the internet and to hate YouTube and to hate Facebook was subscribed to more channels than I was and uploading more than I was. Isn't that funny? But yeah, he was subbed to things that Caitlyn was subbed to before she even was known by all of us. I will never be able to see that as indicative of anything other than the fact that he must have somehow been frequenting Live Me and must have come across her before. And along with all of his other transparent projections, that would explain why he's so quick to pretend like Courtney was talking, like Courtney made that diary entry. He still says Courtney made the diary entry that Caitlyn never did, and that, you know, her Jewish ties, all this weird, crazy stuff he has said about her manipulating that. No, there's a reason he says all this. There's a reason he doesn't want the phones searched and the computers and such searched. There's only one reason he wouldn't want that stuff searched.
Yeah, the same reason that Anthony doesn't want the phones searched. Because I remember whenever the subject was brought up of, you know, us saying them bringing back a bunch of stuff that was deleted out of Caitlyn's phone or recovering files from Caitlyn's phone, Anthony's like, oh, well, that was Tammy's phone. I'm guessing it wasn't. He said that was Tammy's phone, but it wasn't. It was Caitlyn's. Tammy had her own phone, and Caitlyn had her own phone. I'm guessing he said that it was Tammy's phone because he probably sent nasty text messages to her. And I'm sure his defense would be, that was Tammy's phone, not Caitlyn's, and I was talking to Tammy and not her, and blah, 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 blah. It's... Do you really think cops are going to believe that? Are you, like, do you think everyone's as stupid as you are? No, it's not the shirt. It's your fucked up, decrepit face. That's what it is. Get a grip. Stop using pictures from like 30 years ago. Come on now. Like, I got a challenge for you, Tony. Take a picture of yourself right now and send it. And I'll take a picture of myself right now and I'll send it. And go. Oh, wait, you're not gonna do that because you're an insecure little bitch. I just went out to dinner with my family and I had a little bit of tequila at the Mexican restaurant, so.
And she does mean a little bit.
That's probably why I'm slurring. That margarita was strong and I didn't even drink half of it.
You didn't even drink a third of it.
Well, shut up.
Or a quarter.
I tried. I did my best, okay? I gave 110%.
You did.
Oh my God, Cherokee, you like seriously made my night. You have no idea.